Alright, greetings and salutations. My name is Comic Fire, and welcome back for more Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga 2. In the last episode, we started going into the sun, and we defeated High Grievous Solar Data. Sure hope that means we won't be seeing anything else from the Junkyard here. Which is kind of weird, you know, I guess it means that, well, just the fact that we managed to escape the Junkyard means, I suppose, the solar data of those guys really did exist. Just seems kind of weird. Makes you wonder, like, were something like this actually possible? Or who knows, it might actually be, but I don't pretend to know anything about the afterlife. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was just a Soma drop, not a full-on Soma. Still, drop's a drop, no matter how small. But, if, like, things that you made up in your imagination you could actually meet here or something. But, 'tis a question for someone much, well, more versed in this sort of thing. Like God, who's really the only person who could probably answer. Whatever god there may be. I'm not gonna try to pretend that one god is the correct god. How would I know that? I'm a 20-year-old kid in the eastern United States. Of course, 20 years old, I'm not really a kid then, am I? Checking the guide pretty religiously here. Mostly because I don't want to get stuck being lost, and I'm more than willing to accept a little stop and go than getting constantly lost. Of course, this dungeon isn't as bad as I quite remember it being the first time I played. But the first time I played, I just wanted this game to be over with so badly that I guess I painted the entire experience to be that of a negative one. Which is not the way to go about doing things. You don't want to go out of your way to try to hate something, because then you're just gonna have a miserable time. And that's not cool. You don't want to have a miserable time with something. Life's short, have fun. Now fortunately, this little area isn't too difficult to get through, but I just don't really like this, it kind of gives me an Ocarina of Time vibe for some reason. I think Ganon's Castle was something similar to it, with like one invisible pathway floor or something or another. But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the encounter rate is too high there. No, more so it seemed that way earlier on. Weird, like, living in a place with this many, like, twisty-turny hallways with nothing but, like, these weird little, roots everywhere. What even are those? This is the sun. This shouldn't be anything. It should be a swirling mass of energy and elements. Alright, next boss time. Oh, I was hoping I'd never see you again. That would have been a lot more if I actually had Argilla in my squad this time around. Anyway, we're fighting Camazotz again. And he can still be really difficult if you mess up. Fortunately, we're pretty strong right off the bat. He doesn't really start getting scary until he starts whipping out the skill that turns you into a bat. Or was it Zahila Bane or something or another? I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not going to pretend I know how to pronounce it. Winds of Hell isn't too scary, but it certainly isn't something you want to see. Especially later on. And I'll explain why when we get there. Now when he's guarding, he's still weak to Terra spells, so I'm glad I put Seraph down the path of Paradigm. So I really wish I had healed here. Spiral Edge is painful. Now when you're a bat, you're also super weak to force spells. Hence making Winds of Hell a lot scarier once he decides to bat your whole party. I don't even know why regular rage is something he would consider using when he has Psycho Rage. Holy crap. This is why I recommend keeping a force shield up at all times. And I don't know why I haven't put it up yet. Probably because I just love to see Gale die, because that's the only way I could ever let this slide. Bat has a lot more of a limited moveset compared to the last time you fought him at the in the Junkyard. This is where putting a force shield up is imperative. I guess I just forgot to put it on Gale. That's weird. Now, even though he's sitting on the ground, I don't believe you can hit him with Pterodine when he's like this. I think he's still weak to Zeodine. And thus totally immune to, totally immune to Earth spells. God, he falls so violently. Which is why I kind of wanted to kill him with Executioner, because it would have looked immensely satisfying to just kick him out of the air. And the third layer's down. Not an immensely difficult layer, but I think the next one's the easiest one, actually. Actually, no, the fifth layer is pretty simple to get through, too, if you... Well, everything's simple if you know where to go, but... Ah, the Hip-Hop Brothers. And I thought maybe they'd say something different, but no. They are one and the same. Well, it's good to see they were finally reunited after one of them had died in the Junkyard and the other hadn't. I realize this now means they're both dead, but... At least the brothers can be together forever. Now the whole gimmick of this layer is we're going to have to deal with those little warp pipes and these weird orifice-looking flowers that really just serve as doors. Now it's not just as simple as taking one and then getting to the next area. Sometimes you're going to have to choose between one of two warp circles. That didn't really need to be a thing. So do you think God chose this dungeon to be the way it is? Like, he was like, you know what? Warp portals, that ought to be fun. And here is such a case of having to choose which one to go on. Now, one always leads to the right way, and the other way usually leads to treasure. And I wasn't really interested in treasure, but I'm actually kind of glad I go for treasure here. Mostly because look how satisfying it is! Now, there's a lot of, there's a few ones that trigger an encounter, and 3 of them just straight up hurt you. They take half of your current HP, I believe. Get an olive branch, which is the second most money worthwhile plant. I really thought Thor was going to be immune to physical attacks, but he doesn't. Just seemed like the type. Of course, he might be immune in Nocturne, but I haven't played Nocturne. So I'm getting a lot more interested in it now. I mean, I own it. I might as well play it. I've owned it for almost 3 years now. Dead End is a bullet that I believe turns the enemies into stone. Which is still a scary way to go. And here we fight a new enemy, Mithra. I believe it's called Mithra sometime in Mithras and other games. I don't know what it's called here. Anyway, much like your Makala, it is immune to physical attacks. And it also seems to resist just a lot of your elemental attacks. So if you want to kill it, Almighty's the way to go. For some reason I was afraid to use Agidine on it. I think it might be immune to it. And here we have new enemies. I believe these are Barongs. Yep, Barong. I'm not Barong about that. Ha ha ha. Anyway, they're strangely immune to ice. Alright, that is one of the coolest skills in the world. Yeah, they drain it. Vengeance makes it so you have a chance of, whenever you get hit with a physical attack, you can counter with trying to use one of the Fatal Hunt skills. Which has a much lower than I'd like chance of instantly eating an opponent, but again, it doesn't really work all the time. And the rate is oddly low, so I just wouldn't recommend it in general. As you can see, it's not really working here, but when I was grinding, it was working a ton. But just the idea of someone hits you so you just fucking eat them, that's crazy. I don't know, I just think it's a really cool skill. No. Oh. Ow. And this is the Sarge Gear Makala, and I believe he was in Digital Devil Saga 1 as well. It seems to be if you let one Gear Makala survive, Sarge comes in. And Sarge just whipping out very frightening skills. I found out I am pronouncing Cocytus right, but I wasn't pronouncing Pyroplegathon right. It's Pyrophlegathon, like phlegm. Thought I had to sneeze. Hey, when it sneezes, it's like right there, but it just won't come out. I feel like the Sarge is a reference to something that happened in like Nocturne or something, but because I know Gear Makala was a boss in Nocturne. Really bulky, as you would expect from something of that size. And I believe Sarges always drop an HP data, because I fought 2 of them. And I don't know if I don't know if you can fight it more than once per cycle. I've tried. But I've had to go through the game a second time to fight the super bosses. So, I fought another Sarge, which gave me another HP data. And there you go. If your levels are low, apparently the Sarge Gear Makala will insult you and escape. But, I don't know. And here we just get to see some demons who are like, yo, fuck you. But again, these are just some Palace Athenas, they're not scary. I mean, they might be scary if it's your first time coming in, but other than that, it's not really all that scary. Okay, I can't really see what Sarge might be a reference to in regards to, he also apparently could have, well, that's Digital Devil Saga 1. Digital Devil Saga 2, he also had Mudoon, Mamudoon, Debilitate, and Megiddo Leon. But, I don't know. He's just there, and it's fun. At least it's not like the Demi-Fiends Gear Makala, where it just spammed Mamudo on all the time. And then if Kuhullin used, like, Taunt, it would just use Takaja. I'm so glad I'm done with the Demi-Fiends. I never want to do that again. Then again, I probably will never have to. Generally, if I replay a game, I'm not going to replay it 100%. Because you play games to have fun, so when you're playing a game you like, it's to go through the parts that you have fun with. I don't have fun with the Demi-Fiend, so if I played through Digital Devil Saga 1 again, I would never play the Demi-Fiend again. Speaking of Gear Makalas, just you try it. Yeah. Wait, there were just one of you. Why are there two of you now? Well, now there's none of you now. We're about to finish everyone's mantras all at the same time. Like, I don't know, my throat never feels like I need to clear it until I start LPing. Start doing all the commentating. But that's probably because I don't really talk a whole lot unless I'm commentating. I'm an oddly quiet fellow. I didn't used to be, for sure, but I don't know. Now that I've grown older, talking seems less exciting. Sort of like when I first played RuneScape, one thing I really wanted to do was just talk to everyone. And then like a month or two into the game, like, I never talked to anyone after that. Because most people didn't care, a lot of people were jerks. And then there was always that like cool guy, like he'd be like woodcutting or something. He's like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, hey! And it made grinding really tedious skills less boring. Oh god. So not yet to become one. So God has plans to implement a patch to allow us to become one. I get stupid with Samael. Every time. Oh, I guess not this time. He reflects electricity, and I forget that so often. Bloodbath and Demon Range aren't really, Rage. aren't really good skills, so don't bother. Once you have Executioner, you're kinda set when it comes to physical skills. Unless you want, like, Ragnarok, and Divine Light for sure, but Executioner's gonna do you just fine for everything else. I feel like it's kinda weird that, Seraph is also affected by not being able to control his or her demon form when max solar noise. I don't know, they're kind of painting Seraph out to be a perfect demon, so Berserk mode shouldn't really be a thing. But it is. Let's get us some new mantras. Ooh, what have we here? The Vicious God mantra. We can get Salvation and Auto-Soma, but we don't need those for run of the game. Megiddo Leone is useless, and Magic Repel is incredibly situational, so it's not a really good mantra to go through. Gate of Hell is a good skill, though, even if I never end up using it. And I guess we can go for Mabufudine. feel like I want to talk about some more of the boss monsters right now, because I don't intend to commentate over the boss's episodes. So I hope I remember after this fight. Actually, I think I can do it over this fight. Mick is just as easy as he was back in the Junkyard. Because Rahu doesn't get anything new. In some of Rahu's other appearances in the series, it has a penis on his forehead. And I think that's just humorous. Really, I'm just going to talk about one boss mantra, and I'm not going to say what the boss is, but it's because the skill that the mantra gives you, and it's the second to last super boss, which will be the second to last video I do for this series. I think Gate of Hell is new, but... Oh yeah, the final boss gives you two moves, Spiteful Force and Death Flies. Spiteful Force is the boss's signature move, and it gets stronger the less HP he has, and thus the same for you. And, similarly, Death Flies is a... well, not similarly at all. No enemy in this game uses Death Flies. There's no Beelzebub, but Death Flies is still in the game. You just get it from that boss's mantra. Reunite with what? But I figured I'd just mention that now, because Death Flies is one of my favorite skills in the game, and by the time you get it, it's useless. Unless you wanted to go through New Game Plus, put on Death Flies, which is instant death to anything that isn't immune to instant death, 100% of the time. Really high almighty damage to everything that isn't immune to it. And put on Auto Soma, so you just get all that MP back. It's a walk through the park. But by the time you get it in this game, it's useless because you're not going to be using it against the final super boss. And Spiteful Force is pretty cool, but actually it would be really great with, just like this one skill where you get strong the lower your HP is. So putting those two together might actually be a really great idea. I really should set up Bufu Dime for bosses, but I don't think I ever learned. Something about a nice, icy breeze. Just blowing that boss over is immensely amusing to me. Cocytus and Pyriphlegethon are actually two rivers in the Greek Hades, I believe. Which is kind of cool. I wish more enemies used Cocytus in this game.